Dr. 9 TV. Dr. 9 TV.
Okay, welcome back to my channel. Okay, for this week, we're going to discuss more on the detail on this element of multimedia, which is a graphic for the subject CFT 1063, a basic multimedia and web technology. Okay, so whereby we need to discuss more detail about this element graphic. Okay, what is the differences and what are the main things that will be very useful when you use this graphic as an element for multimedia. And then we need to identify also and describe what types of graphic, okay, that suitable for developing the multimedia project and for us to use the appropriate graphic types for our project. So some of the definition, some of the understanding, the key concept and principle that you need to understand about the element of graphic as a multimedia element. So this we discuss further in this week lecture. So I wish before we go further, I want to give advice for all the students need to understand the concept of the project before you can decide what types of the graphic that suitable for your project. Okay, for today lesson, okay, for learning outcome, at the end of the lesson, you should be able to differentiate two main types of graphic. Okay, describe the use of the graphic as an element of multimedia and able to give example the type and format and its features. So this is the only thing that you need to know in this week lecture, so that you can decide what are the requirement that need for the graphic for your project. Basically, what is a graphic? Okay, the graphic is a multimedia and web technology. When we talk about the graphic, it's a visual images or designs display on the medium such as a screen, billboard, projector, and etc. So graphic, something that can be visual for everyone to see and to understand, to describe what are the things that visual from their eyes. For example, graphic can be photograph, illustration, typography, logo design, okay, infographic, and diagram. And as well, the graphic also can be represented through line art. When you do nowadays, we have to try to transforming the way how we do graphic and art. We are using the computer graphic, so you can draw either the illustration of art and also the technical drawing. And maps also one of the graphic. Sometimes we use maps to describe things, and we also need the static computer for graphic images and web graphic. So every type of graphic, they have represented different types of message and different approach. So depends on the target audience they want to see the graphic. Especially the graphic nowadays are very important, especially in advertising industry and also in the computer graphic, because now most of the graphic they use the electronic media to display the graphic that we design, not like last time. Okay, we always because the graphic output of the artwork that we created, they have to be printed, but now they have two options. Either you use the printed output as a billboard or the digital billboard. That one nowadays we can see a lot of using this interactive multimedia billboard. Okay, this is some example of the graphic. Okay, why this is important? Because now that they are using the technology has grows right now. So the most important graphic nowadays, because they can use as a medium of communication. Okay, whereby the lot of graphic that will be there are a lot of the graphic that we use in digital and electronic form. That's why the rising of this skill for generate the graphic through the computer generation image and so on, which is the more important now, because the industry and the business need of this kind of expert. And there are multiple ways of the graphic that we will use, okay, in project for advertising, for social media, and for digital industry. So and mostly if you are aware about the development of the content nowadays, the content in the form of graphic also using the electronic medium to display this graphic. So the most important thing, we need to know how to develop or design a good graphic in terms of the content and also the quality of the graphic itself. Okay, so this is some research why the importance of the graphic. Okay, the importance of the visual graphic, because the way we learn faster using the graphic, because the verbal learner is more effective using textual, but the visual learner, okay, the best using graphic presentation. Okay, there are two type of learner. Some they using word, some you use text, and some use a visual. And graphic also can be simplified the complex concept to be more understandable form. And another things why we need the graphic itself, because it also can support medium for long-term memory, because the more you remember when you use pictures, okay, they're easy to transfer the understanding through the pictures compared to text. Okay, so this is a basic research that we conducted. So this is the reason why the graphic is important. There are two types of graphic that normally used in industry. The first one is a raster graphic, and the second one is a vector graphic. Okay, whereby the raster graphic normally they are using a bitmap. Bitmap, I mean in terms of pixel of the image, and vector graphic is focused more on line and computer mathematical analysis, mathematical formula that can display the graphic, okay, using line and the 2 point of drawing. Okay, so this is the example that we can see in left and right side of the screen. You can see it's for different type of the graphic, for different types of format, okay, that's suitable for based on the design. Okay, so the type of graphic that we use, it depends on the design. What are we going to design using these two types of graphic? So every types of graphic, they have advantage and disadvantage. So it depends on what the content that you want to create. Okay. Okay, if you see a more detailed discussion about the raster graphic and vector graphic, so there are common difference. If you want to understand and try to explore, okay, the two differences between these two types of graphic. Okay, there are two differences, these two types of graphic. When we look into this raster graphic, the image are made by pixel, whereby when graphic using vector, the vector images are mathematical calculation from one point to another point that form line and shape. So if you can see from the slide, the pixel will be the small box. Combination of the small box, they develop the image, okay, create the image. But different with the vector graphic, they are using line and code. If we zoom in, okay, we can still remain, okay, the line of its graphic. Okay, and then a pixel, okay, if a raster graphic, a pixel is single point of the smallest single element in display device. If you zoom in to a raster image, you may start to see a lot of little tiny square, okay, little tiny square. And so different with this vector graphic. If you zoom in into a vector graphic, it is always look the same, because they are the basis of graphic using vector graphic and shapes. Okay, differences of these two types of graphic are more suitable with a different usage. Okay, for example here, when we use raster program, you paint an image, it's similar to the dipping a brush in the paint and painting. You can blend color into soften and transition from one colors to another. Okay, by right, different with the vector graphic. When using a vector program, you may draw an outline of shape and similar to creating an image with the tiles of all different shape and sizes. Okay, for example, like eye shape, a nose shape, a lip shape, and etc. So these shapes call object display one single color each. So you can see, if you see the differences between these the graphic that we can create using these two different type of a graphic. Raster will be more smooth, but when use vector, they involve line of differences of the line. Okay, these are the major different, very simple to see from the image itself. Okay, for more detail on this, now we move into a more specific example. Okay? The differences between raster and the vector. So this is the example of raster. Okay, so this one is example of vector. So this is just to know the concept and the principle behind of these two different types of graphic, okay, that we develop. So if you want to maintain the quality of the image, the original one, I suggest you are using the vector. So this is another example that we want to see two different between the bitmap or raster and vector image. If you see the bitmap image or graphic made up a multitude of pixels, each of contain information about the specific colors. Okay, whereby if you want to look into a vector, okay, vector type, the vector are made up of perfectly straight lines and curve based on the mathematical equation. So these are the concept behind of these two differences of graphic, okay, that normally used in a multimedia project and a website. Okay, normally when we want to create a graphic, okay, they are using a specific tools or specific tools and the specific software that we need. Okay, for example, if you want to develop the raster, most of the is mostly photo and complex illustration. Okay, they are using Photoshop, and then InDesign and etc. And for raster, okay, if you have to develop the raster format of your graphic, you are using Adobe Illustrator, InDesign also can, and there are a few more, which is using the format of PDF, AI, and so on. Okay. Okay, there are a lot of graphic software, okay, using for paint, drawing, and edit image. So different type of this graphic software using for different purpose. Okay, for example, for drawing, we can create illustration using mathematical calculation, line, shape, and vector based on the input. And for paint, we are using bitmap image and digital drawing using paintbrush tools, pencil, and bitmap based input. And for image editing, normally we edit and enhance the quality of the bitmap image based on the either format of raw ataupun we are using the compressed format. Okay, so therefore for specific purpose, they are using a different type of the software. Okay, for drawing, normally we are using this CorelDRAW, Illustrator, and so on. And for paint, we can use Microsoft Photo Paint, okay, Microsoft Paint 3D, and so on. And for editing image, the most common and free, we can use a Lightroom software. Another thing that's also important is about the graphic software features. If you want to see from this slide, we can see how we can create and manipulate text. For example, the graphic software also can be manipulated using a few features that are available in the software. Okay, the first one, we can transform the 2D text into a perspective. Okay, this one. Okay, and also we can work with the several layers using the graphic features, because every layer they represent a different type of image, so that we can integrate or combine this all several number of images into one image, so that we can create the perspective, and also we can create more enhanced quality of the graphic. Okay, because sometimes we want to do a simple superimpose on the graphic, so we need this software to arrange layer by layer, so that each layer they represent a different image, so that when we successfully create the final artwork of the graphic, we can see a different type of graphic, okay, using several images, okay, to develop one image. Okay, another thing with this graphic software, you also can save into a different type format, file format, okay, such as JPEG, PNG, okay, Bitmap, and GIF. So, but remember, when you save in different type of a format, you have to need to compromise with the quality of the graphic, because of course, different types of the format come with the different types of the quality. Okay, why we need to convert to different types of the format? Because each of this format sometimes are not compatible with multimedia software when we want to develop or create a video, or in the graphic tools, or video tools. Sometimes those software are not accept, okay, a certain file format, so that you need to convert into acceptable or compatible format that can be used for your multimedia altering tools, whereby this tool can be one of the software that you use to develop a video or create a more enhanced or sophisticated, multimedia content. Okay, another things that need also important for you to understand, for the student to understand, is about the graphic software features. There are basic features that are normally as a common features for any graphic software. So, for example, selection tools, whereby we use these selection tools to arrange, uh, arrange, rearrange, and to locate our artwork across the screen, okay, the screen of the software. Okay, so this is the selection tools. And another thing is a filter. So for example, there are a lot of preset filter that we can enhance the quality of the graphic. Okay, sometimes we capture image at morning. By applying the filter, we can change the setting or the lighting and so on into night or evening. So this is the importance of the filter. And one more thing about the image, photo, and manipulation, you can use these features to do some manipulation on your graphic. Okay, sometimes we are using manipulation for our graphic, especially for marketing, kit or material. Okay, and also sometimes for imaginary image. So sometimes for more fantasy image, so that this is in reality we cannot have this type of graphic, but in when we're using a digital graphic software, we can create, okay, our imagination or fiction of the image using the graphic software. Okay. Okay, this is also another important thing that you need to understand. Why we need to know the features. In some features of the software, when you create a graphic, they have a smooth edges. Okay, you can edit smooth edges so that you can see the edges of the drawing or illustration are smooth. And we have template also. Sometimes a student can choose this among all this template to enhance the quality of the graphic. And by having all this graphic, everything, the content, and the thing that you want to develop, you need also to understand the specification of the hardware, because some hardware, they have some limitation to display a very complex graphic. I guess in some hardware required specific hardware, like the processing machine, the CPU, the RAM, and capacity as well, and also an OS, okay, operating system, like Apple or Microsoft Windows. So that's the thing that you need to understand before you want to develop a good and high quality graphic. Okay. And there are several types of image that we can refer to. So we can refer all the image and sources of the image, okay, from a few location we can get from the internet. For specifically, you can find an image to edit, to use in your project, we can use a clip art. Google clip art, stock photograph, still image, scan image, program scan, and capture image. So this is the basic image types, various type that you can use in your multimedia project. And sometimes you can use all other available in the internet and website, okay, to get some idea about the graphic. So you can use and edit the graphic from depends on your own creativity. Okay, there are a few more website. Normally we can get some image from the Pixel, okay, Reshot, Pixabay, Foodie Feed, and a lot of image that you can refer. Just Google it. Okay, you can use also a search engine like you can use also a search engine like Google Image, Yahoo Image, and etc. So but remember, try to get the free royalty image for your artwork and for your video, so that we can avoid some of the copyright issues and so on. Okay, so another thing that you need to understand the concept of using the various images on the internet. You need to understand the concept of Creative Commons license, okay, commercial license, and personal license. So for Creative Commons license, they give everyone, for individual, creator to large institution, standardized way to grant the public permission to use their creative work under copyright law. Okay, the second one is a commercial license. Okay, so commercial license is a standard licensing option for organization and business entity. Okay, license are purchases by the company and can be used by any single person within this organization. And the last one is a personal license, is an option for private individual to purchase a license with their own fund and solely to their own use only. Okay, that means you buy for your own use. If you want to do a production, you want to do a video, and so on, so you need this personal license. Okay, normally a copyright we can use freely, but the copyrighted images you need to buy, okay, a license to use that. For commercial, for education, I think should be no problem, but for commercial, you need to use a paid image or paid graphic. Okay,
Dr. 9 TV.